Your father was a great man. He was, yeah, he was a great member of this club, a great Rotarian, and a great man. So we're honored to honor him.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate y'all. I know he's got a lot of friends out there, and we miss him a whole lot, as I'm sure the club does as well. This is just such a beautiful memory of him. So thank y'all so much from all the Frost. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Preston. He was a great man. Will Tesh has a pop-up.
All right. First off, it's great to see the Frost here. I got the privilege of growing up with them. Dr. Frost was a great man, and it's really refreshing to see them. So it's good to have y'all. Second, the dictionary project. So thank you guys to all of the people who have come out and helped with the project. It's been a success so far, and it's been really great to see how excited these kids are. So we've got a couple more dates. We were able to complete Chimney Lakes and Crystal Springs deliveries this week. Next week, Monday on the 7th at about 8:50 is when they were expecting us. Chaffee Trail Elementary will be delivering there. I still need about 4 more people to help volunteer for that. And then Hyde Park Elementary on Wednesday, the 9th at 9 a.m. So about 2 more for that. So if you guys have an opportunity, shoot me an email, or I'll try to get another email sent out this week, but should be a good opportunity to give back. These guys are real excited when we go see them. So thank you.
Thank you, Will. Ed Lombard has a pop-up about the football pool. Oh. You win again, Joe. We're not going to let you play anymore. Joe Springer has, actually, we're going to hold the Foundation Points pop-up. Just very quickly, Patty wanted me to say that there are sign-up sheets for the Salvation Army bell ringing that on your table that's going to occur on December 2nd. Be sure to sign up. You can also sign up using the DACDB calendar, and just put your choice of times in the comment section if you guys are interested in helping out the Salvation Army Friday, December 2nd. Krista Candlish has a pop-up.
Hi, guys. Just wanted to make everybody aware, I started an organization this year called Coats for Jacks, and it's really geared toward the elderly who's not able to purchase coats for themselves. And we extended it over to children. So, pardon me, we're working with the Giving Closet project here in Jacksonville. So, there is a donation opportunity that if you want to contribute to us being able to purchase coats, or either if you have coats that you would like to donate, whether they are used or whether in good shape or whether they're new, I'll be glad to collect them, pardon me, every week here at the desk. So if you want to bring a coat and leave it, I'm happy to pick it up and take it with me to the closet. So any contribution or anything that you can do would really be much appreciated. Yes. We're looking for anything that will keep someone warm. So we really need, coats that, basically if somebody doesn't have anything during the January, February, winter, that they'd be able to have something to keep them warm. I can sing before thousands, but when I get up and talk to you guys, I am a nervous wreck. It's crazy. But any other questions or anything? If you want a flyer before you leave, see me and I'll be glad to give you one. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Sounds like a great program. Look forward to supporting that. Our Sergeant at Arms, Carter Rosenblum, will now introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians, as well as our guest speaker here today.
It's my great pleasure today to introduce our guests. It's not every day we have this many guests, so it's a great day for West Jax Rotary. I'd like to start by mentioning the visiting members from the Jacksonville Rotary, Vasil Montgomery, Nane Bernard, Nancy Bernard. Sometimes the names written down in here aren't as easy to read as you would think. Jim Agee. William Learn. And Jerry Kelly. Thank you all for visiting us today. And also some visiting Rotarians or visiting members or guests. Beth Ann Frost. Ashley Lear. And Tommy Frost. And Ken Baker also has a visiting guest. Ken, where are you?
Thanks, Carter. I'd like to introduce my wonderful wife, Fran. Fran, there.
And it looks like we also have another visitor, Bo Tucker. Ooh, a lot of guests. It is now my distinct honor to introduce our speaker today, Debra Lowe. Debra joined the Rotary Foundation in 2009 as the first major gifts officer on the staff who lives within their assigned zone. She covers Zone 34, consisting of 14 Rotary districts. The focus of her position is to enable Rotarians and non-Rotarians to fill their philanthropic goals of supporting the Rotary Foundation with a single gift or commitment of $10,000 or greater to the annual fund. Areas of focus: endowment fund, Polio Plus, or Rotary Peace Centers. In addition to being a staff member with the Rotary Foundation, Debra has been an active Rotarian for nearly 20 years. She has served as president of the Rotary Club of Kissimmee Bay in Florida from 2005 until 2006, and is currently president-elect of the Rotary Club of the Lake Chattooga in North Georgia. In 2015, 2016, and 17, Debra joined the General Secretary John Hayco colleagues and Rotarians from around the world to participate in Miles to End Polio in conjunction with the 106-mile El Tour de Tucson Tucson bicycle ride. Through the support of Rotarians and the 2.1 match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the team raised more than $30 million towards our goal to end polio. Please give a warm Rotary welcome to Debra Lowe.
Thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you all for being here today. I'm going to preface this by saying that this is my first time in 3 years that I have spoken to a live audience. So thanks to COVID. So lots of Zoom meetings. So be kind to me as I make my way through this. I want to start out by also thanking our Jacksonville Rotarians who came out to join me today. Thank you so much. No pressure that you all are here and you're going to submit a report to Governor Jeff, I'm sure. And I also want to thank everybody in this room for your continued exceptional support of our Rotary Foundation. You have contributed cumulatively more than almost $1 million to our foundation throughout your history. And I want to thank you. That does deserve a round of applause. I also particularly want to thank the 16 major donors that are in your club and the 15 Bequest Society members. Also, your club is awarded nearly 80 Paul Harris Fellows. And today I have the honor of welcoming and presenting your 2 newest Paul Harris Fellows. So with that, I'd like to call Club Foundation Chair Ken up to the podium, make the presentation.
Thank you, Deborah. I would like Tim Johnson and Larry Daly to join us up here, please. We won't buy it. We won't buy it. In fact, we've already got your money, so I will tell you that Deborah will do a wonderful job of telling us where our money goes to help people all over the world. My part in this is to merely thank these two gentlemen, Tim and Larry, for stepping up to Joe Springer as foundation chair this year's pledge that we're going to increase our Paul Harris Fellows. Both of these gentlemen are on the board. I don't have to tell you, but some of our guests I will tell. Tim is treasurer and Larry is a director. So proud that you guys stepped up in your leadership role to begin the process of increasing our Paul Harris Fellows. So Deborah, will you do the honors of giving them their certificates?
I'm not going to pin you, but I am going to present you with your Paul Harris Fellow. Oh, we're not really. Your official certificates are forthcoming, but I thank you for continuing to serve as ambassadors to our Rotary Foundation. Great work that you do. Your support will be great. As well. Thank you. Okay. Somewhere. The clicker down here? Oh, I got it. Okay. Yes, please. I'm going to try and get through this without having to keep doing that. And I'll rely on Joe to tell me if anything is amiss. I also wanted to point out, talking about Miles to End Polio, that you all know, of course, that your club member, past district governor, Marshall, was also on the ride. I can't say I rode with him because he finished probably about 8 hours before I did. But it was through Rotary that I developed my passion for cycling. And when I talk a bit about to people why I love my work and why Rotary means so much to me, it's because of everybody like you. In my 13 years with the foundation, I've had the privilege of visiting so many clubs and district conferences and international conventions and sitting down one-on-one with all of you and having the opportunity to really learn why you're in Rotary and what is your passion and what is your club doing to make your community and the world a better place. And that has truly been a great honor. It's made me a better person knowing all of you. And so I thank you so very much for everything that you do and how you've enhanced the lives of so many people around the world. You did say it's the down one, right? I love technology. It's on. Thank you. We won't belabor that. Okay. So I think you're all familiar. This is the mission statement of our Rotary Foundation. And when I think about why donors are inspired to give to fulfill this mission, I think about one particular donor who I worked with, who has since passed on. And he and his wife made $1 million gift to our Rotary Foundation to set up an endowment fund, obviously a substantial gift. And when I called to thank him again for his gift, he paused and he said to me, you know, I'm 90 years old and I grew up in a home on a farm in Indiana where I was never in a building with electricity or running water until I went off to college. And here I am able to give the Rotary Foundation $1 million. He said, how wonderful is that? He could have done anything with that $1 million and he chose to give it to our Rotary Foundation. And that talks about the impact of who we are and what we do. Also, when I think about why I'm so proud of our foundation, why you should be so proud of our foundation, is that our foundation is carefully overseen by our fellow Rotarians, the trustees. They ensure that your gifts to our foundation are spent wisely, so they truly will do good in the world. The generosity of Rotarians like you hasn't gone unnoticed. For the 14th consecutive year, our Rotary Foundation has received the highest rating, 4 stars, from Charity Navigator. This is an independent evaluator of charities in the United States. It's awarded to us for continuing to demonstrate strong financial health and commitment to accountability and transparency. And if you're not familiar with Charity Navigator, you can go on their website and you can look up any charity, including the Rotary Foundation, that you contribute to and see what their rankings are and see why they've arrived at that ranking for any charity that you support. Next. Uh-oh. I'll start talking. The annual fund is probably next to Polio Plus, which I'll also talk about, the fund that you hear the most about. And the reason why is I think of the annual fund really as our checking account. Gifts to the annual fund, as you know, are invested, and it's those investments that come back in 3 years to your district, to your club in the form of district designated funds that enable you to carry out the projects that mean so much to you. So the annual fund really is the lifeblood of the Rotary Foundation. When you think about any district grants or global grants that are done, it's because of these contributions ongoing to our foundation. So sustaining members, every Rotarian every year, of course, major gifts, any of those are going to help fuel this good work. And that good work includes people like Gabriella, who you see here, who was able to expand her small sewing business and provide a better life for her family. She received a grant that was created by Rotarians in Honduras with hosts in the United States that provided her with business guidance and some microloans to help her grow this business. Given to the annual fund supports Rotarian-led projects. And I can't state that enough. We are the only organization that is donor-driven. Your gifts that you give to the Rotary Foundation come back and enable you to decide what is the most important thing that you do. So our foundation now has 7 areas of focus, and I'm sure you all are aware that the environment was our most recently added area of focus. And while it helps you to improve lives around the world, it also gives you the opportunity to direct your gift in the manner that holds the most meaning to you. And I give you pause. A lot of times I talk to Rotarians and I always kind of start my conversation by saying, what is it about Rotary that really touches your heart? And some people will immediately say, it's the fact that we're providing clean water, or it's the fact that we're going to eradicate polio. But sometimes they just say, well, I hadn't really thought about that. And so I ask you to think a little bit about what is it in Rotary that really touches your heart. And it could very well be that's just the great projects that you carry out here. I was really excited to hear that you do the dictionary project and also do the bell ringing. Those were 2 of the earliest projects I was involved in when I first got into Rotary. So it's so neat to see that your club is continuing that tradition. So the Rotary Foundation can help turn your passion for a cause to make the world a better place. We can help you channel that to that cause. Remember, your gifts of any size have a big impact in the work of our Rotary Foundation. And although I'm a major gift officer, my focus is the larger gifts. I want to assure you that every gift matters. Every gift is important. And it's the sustaining members and the smaller gifts that really add up and enable us to achieve record giving in our foundation. We raised over $410 million was contributed to the Rotary Foundation last year during trying times, during a pandemic, and all of you just believed in continuing to do good in the world. This chart shows where your gifts were turned into projects. And this is from the 2014 to the just completed 2022 Rotary year. And these are all global grants that came about and were awarded because of Rotarians like you who saw a need and wanted to address that need. The next chart is broken out to just show funding by region. A lot of times I'm asked where exactly are global grants being carried out. And this is a really good snapshot that shows some of the greatest areas of need. And this again is from 2014 to this just completed Rotary year. So we talk a lot about the need to give. You hear a lot about, become a sustaining member, give to the Rotary Foundation, but I think it's important to see the impact that your gifts have. So this chart, and I'm not going to read all the numbers to you, but it shows the amount of global grants that were awarded and district grants and disaster response grants that were awarded and the dollar amount in this just completed Rotary year. And it's pretty astounding to see the impact that you're having. Think about how many lives one grant can touch and multiply it by all of these grants. A couple highlights I just want to point out to you. By June 30th of last year, we approved 145 Rotary scholarships. So that's giving youth the opportunity to gain the skills and the education that they need that they probably could not have gotten without a scholarship to go out and fulfill their career goals and in turn help make their communities a better place. We awarded for the first year of giving grants out to the environment area of focus 33 grants and 22 of those 33 grants were actually for humanitarian purposes. And disease prevention and treatment remains the highest funded area of focus. I want to thank all of you who stepped up in an astounding manner and gave to our Rotary Disaster Response Fund in support of the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Disaster Response Fund was established for several years ago, is whenever there was a disaster anywhere in the world, Rotarians, as we always are quick to step up and want to make a difference. But Rotary is not in the disaster response business. We are not the ones, as you know, who go out immediately when, for instance, the hurricanes in District 6960 in Lee County. It's the Rotarians who quickly respond to that. So we set up this fund as a way for Rotarians to contribute. And then in turn, when there is a natural disaster, your club or district can submit a grant application and receive those funds. So we're helping to manage the money. We're helping to get it out where it needs to go. And we're also enabling you to make gifts that are going to count towards your major giving to the Rotary Foundation. During the COVID pandemic, the trustees pivoted this fund to enable clubs and districts to apply for grants that were used to either provide any support that hospitals needed in the form of masks and ventilators and everything that was so critically needed. Interestingly enough, a lot of those grants that were awarded were actually used to help support food banks in communities because the need for when schools closed and children were not getting hot meals, they weren't getting the backpacks at the end of the week with the food to take home. Rotary came in, so many clubs around the world came in and really helped to fill that gap through these grants. So once again, the trustees pivoted the Disaster Response Fund so that you were able to contribute in support of humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. And this is what happened. We never imagined that $15 million would be contributed to this fund between March and April of this year. Our grants officers literally worked 7 days a week to quickly turn those grants around, get them in the hands of the Ukraine people and those in the surrounding countries that were trying to support the flood of refugees in the need. There's now $3.9 million, give or take, still in the fund, and grants continue to go out. And we do know that this fund will be fully expended by the end of the calendar year. So our disaster response fund is back to collecting gifts that will be used. For example, Lee County here in Florida can go ahead and apply for a grant to help offset the tremendous amount of rebuilding that's going to be needed. And I know every district, including yours, has stepped up to help those people who've been affected by the hurricane. And I thank you for that. I'll talk a bit about Polio Plus, and I think this photo really says it all. This is a dedicated frontline worker administering a vaccine to a child. And this is really what we continue to achieve. But polio anywhere is a threat everywhere. And much to our surprise, although it's often been said that polio is a plane ride away, a case of polio was discovered in London. An unvaccinated individual contracted polio. We've also traced it to upstate New York, which is where this individual was from. So we've had some cases in upstate New York, and we also have seen it in Israel. All of these cases that we're finding are genetically linked. So again, it's a plane ride away. So it speaks to our continued need. I don't think any of us ever imagined that we would see a case of polio here in the United States again. So it's very sobering. But through the surveillance that we have, all of this made possible because of your gifts to Polio Plus. We were able to quickly identify it, quickly get that person, get in, do the vaccinations, everything that needed to be done, just because your gifts have made the infrastructure that's been built to identify cases of polio possible. So this chart shows the progress that we've made, and we continue to make good progress. You see the two spikes in 2019 and 2020. All vaccinations around the world, of course, were paused during COVID-19 when we could not get out. We could not get our healthcare workers out. We could not get to people. Everything was locked down. And so you can see how quickly the cases, there was a resurgence because of that. The good news was in 2021, when vaccines programs began to resume, we saw again a dramatic drop. This year we're at 29 cases, and that isn't an increase, but people are coming out of lockdown. People are getting out more. So we're still holding steady. We're still doing very well. We're doing better right now than we were in 2018. So your support of Polio Plus truly is going to get us where we need to be. And I want to remind everybody that gifts are still matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Another way to support our foundation and ensure that we continue to do good work in the world long after we're gone is by supporting the endowment fund. And as I mentioned, your Bequest Society members have seen a vision to leave a legacy of hope to the foundation by leaving a gift, a commitment to the Rotary Foundation in their estate plans, through their insurance, or through their retirements that will come to fruition upon their passing. This gift is invested in our endowment fund. It's not spent, but the spendable earnings are what come back and enable Rotarians who will come after us to do good in the world. A $25,000 bequest made to our foundation, when realized, will generate $1,000 a year in spendable earnings to the foundation. So essentially you are endowing a Paul Harris Society membership. This is what's going to ensure the future of our organization and the sustainability of our organization. Our current assets and commitments to our foundation total more than $1.5 billion at this time. These are gifts that are going to continue to have an impact. The nice thing also about leaving in a gift to the endowment fund is you can, again, personalize that gift by directing it to the Rotary area folks that really holds the most meaning to you. Am I good? Oh, good. There are, of course, many ways to support the foundation. And of course, all of you who are giving cash gifts, it's great, but I think what a lot of people don't realize is there are other ways to structure a gift to the foundation. And that's really what my role is, to sit down and talk with you and talk with your family about how you want to fulfill your philanthropic goals and what you want that gift to do. And I'm not going to get in the weeds and turn this into a planned giving seminar or a giving, but I am available and happy to talk with any of you about how you can help support our Rotary Foundation. And we will have time at the end for Q&A too, so happy to take that. So no matter how you support our Rotary Foundation, you're continuing a more than 100-year tradition of uniting leaders from all continents, cultures, and industries for the common good. Thanks to your dedication, your community and our world is a better place. And it's so great to be back here with all of you and have the opportunity to thank you in person, to make it through a presentation and share with you the Rotary stories. So since we do have some time, and Dane did not have to get up and push me off the podium, which is always a good thing. I hope that you all have some questions, or if you don't have questions, I hope that you'll just share some comments on why our foundation means so much to you.
Deborah, thank you very much. And as always, I'll be coming around with the mic for the people on Zoom. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll make my way over to you.
And I would be remiss too to say that it's really an extra special pleasure to be here today because we are kicking off Foundation Month. So, and it was because of President Sean's invite and her dad, Michael's invite, that I'm here to join you today. So I'm sorry though that she's not well enough to be with us.
Thank you for what you do. I've been a Rotarian a long time, 44 years.
Thank you.
And so I'm interested in an overall perspective of the foundation itself, when it got started, and sort of a graph, visual graph, if you will, you know, with technology coming 20 years ago, how did that affect it? Just if you could walk us through the history of the foundation and a few of the ups and downs, that'd be great.
I can share with you, of course, I think a lot of you know that the first gift to the Rotary Foundation was a gift of about $23. That was funds that were left over from an international convention. And it was Arch Clump, to whom the Arch Clump Society is named after. And the Arch Clump Society is how we recognize our exceptionally generous Rotarians who contribute $250,000 or more to our foundation during their lifetime. So, so Arch saw it that we needed to have an endowment to ensure, just as I said, the continued good in the world. And when Paul Harris passed on, his wish was for Rotarians to give to the endowment fund. So there hadn't been a lot of giving in between that time, and I'd be remiss if I tried to guess at the time period. But when he passed, he was so beloved by Rotarians that there was a tremendous spike in giving to the endowment fund in his name and at his request. And this was a time, when you think back, where there wasn't a lot of thought to giving to endowment funds, to saving accounts. So he was really a visionary in this. So as I said, I've been on staff now, this is my 13th year. And I can speak to when I first came on staff. Of course, my focus has always been major gifts, outright gifts of $10,000 or greater. And the thought then was, if somebody wanted to talk to me about doing a bequest, that was great. But it wasn't the big focus of what I was doing. There was a shift because the trustees had set a goal of having, the tag was 2020 by 2020. So they wanted to have $20 million in our endowment fund, expectancies and actuals, by 2020. And they began to realize that they weren't going to achieve that goal if they didn't start talking to Rotarians about our endowment fund and why it was important and even what it was. And so that kind of launched more of a way to inspire and inform Rotarians like you about the importance of our endowment fund. And we were so successful that in 2017, when the convention was held in Atlanta, we had already achieved that goal. The other thing that's really been a wonderful pivot and opportunity for all of you is back when they started the endowment fund, you could give to World Fund, which is the general pool of investments for grants, share, which means that your realized gift investments come back to your district as DDF, like an annual fund gift, or something called the Children's Fund, which no longer exists. So they realized that if we enable Rotarians to give their gifts to the cause that is most important to them and give them the opportunity to name a fund for a bequest of $25,000 or greater, this is going to resonate more with you. It's going to have greater meaning to you. And so that has really been the pivot for the endowment fund in in getting more people inspired. The 7 areas of focus were also the key thing to, again, giving Rotarians more of the opportunity to direct their gift to what means the most to them. When I started, we had Polio Plus, annual fund, endowment fund, and then they added Rotary Peace Centers. So I've seen in my 13 years a tremendous change. In fact, I was talking to a newer colleague, and we were talking, it dawned on me that all these changes have come about in the 13 years that I've been on staff. It really is inspiring. I remember when I first started, there was something I came from nonprofit and a small organization. And so I was bemoaning something to my manager that, well, why can't we do this? And he said, we're like the Titanic. We're slow to turn, we're slow to change. And that is not the case anymore. When I talked about how the trustees quickly pivoted to enable gifts for COVID relief, to enable gifts for Ukraine, that is an example of how our organization, to your point, has really gotten with the times, in that we can't sit and ponder things for a year. We have to begin to immediately respond. And certainly social media and the internet, Zoom has been, a lifesaver for all of us. That has really changed the whole way that we're able to do this. Did I answer your question?
Do we have any other questions?
Thank you. Still have schedule. Better than Jane. Thank you so much. It's a fun thing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome. Thank you. Yes, thank you again, Deborah. I know that you traveled a long way from North Georgia to be with us here today. That was tremendous. Next week, our speaker will be Jody Phillips, the Duval County Clerk of the Court. Please see Will Tesh to sign up for the dictionary delivery. Do not forget to RSVP for future events using the DAC-DB calendar and make plans to attend our upcoming socials and projects. That being said, there is an area social. I think everybody should have flyers at their table. It's taking place Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, anytime from 5 to 7 at the Kingmaker Brewing Company, located at 720 King Street, right there in Riverside. That being said, apologies to Jay. I kind of just rolled right on through Family of Rotary. Sorry about that. We look forward to catching up with everybody at next week's meeting. Will Tesh will lead us in the 4-way test.
Your things say or do. First. Second. Third. Fourth. Will be beneficial to all concerned.
All right, guys, one more thank you to the Frost family for being here today. We really appreciate that. And with that being said, let's go do some good in the world.